A Garden Report on CLNS Media. John Zannis, Jimmy
Sunday,
Toscano.
Sunday, Sunday.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
What's up, Johnny?
What's going on, buddy?
Another dub. Interesting route to get there.
It was an interesting route to get there. There's quite a bit, to say about this game. I'm curious the mood of the people because it's like, it's a win. There was obviously
Start of the holiday week. Everyone's in good mood, John.
Most of it was something like that you wouldn't like because it was pretty ugly and a mail-it-in effort, I think, for most of the night. I'm curious the post-game stuff that comes out of it. This was supposed to be the Marcus Smart reunion game. Marcus Smart is out, as we know.
Yeah,
tweaked an ankle.
He was shaking hands after the game, though. He's
5 weeks.
3 to 5.
3 to 5. So certainly not great.
He's a healer
for that. But so that was the only allure to this game. And then it was just ho-hum, the first night of a back-to-back, closing out a short road trip. And this Memphis team, Jimmy, I watched the whole game. I still don't know the names of any of the players.
I just asked you who this guy, I don't even want to say his name because I don't think I'm going to say it right. Aldama?
Yeah.
Santi Claus? Making an appearance earlier in the year here.
Yeah.
Good for him. Listen, I did tell everybody on the last show, John, we were going over the FanDuel promo. Shout out FanDuel, great sponsor. We'll talk about them in a second. But I did tell everybody to place your moneyline bets on the Celtics for this game because I thought it was going to be a layup win for them. Now, they did win. So if you took my advice, congratulations. But you had to sweat that one out. Nobody thought, even with, nobody thought it was going to be remotely close, to what it was tonight. Full lineup. Like, what happened, John? You tell me. This was a
joke. This was a joke.
This is a trap game.
This is right, Justin. Sorry, I was waiting until the club filled up. Us being late tonight.
I was on the horn with John.
It was letting that line build outside the club so people would think that this is like a hot spot.
That's what we do for the Westfall shows. We just create lines. Nobody's actually there to see me.
A bit to talk about. Like we said, Bobby's down there. We'll get Bobby's take in a little bit, which will be good too. I'm curious of post-game reaction. I definitely think Joe wasn't happy with a lot about this game, and it did feel like kind of like a ho-hum. Again, this is a Memphis team that was without everybody. It's insane. Obviously, Morant's still serving the suspension. You've got Brandon Clark. You're missing Mark with the Achilles. Steven Adams out for the year.
Bismack Biyombo is starting for this team still.
Yeah. And a couple of really thick dudes, so
John Conchar.
That's a hockey name.
Conchi, that's a Conchi, dude. Everybody knows that.
I'm thinking of Sergei Gonchar. They almost lost to Sergei Gonchar tonight.
David Roddy played 20 minutes for them tonight. Vince Williams played another 16. Yeah, these are names that I would say the casual probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
No.
So it was
also me.
Okay, so everybody had a bad game. Let's put it out there, except for Porzingis and Hauser. And there's no way around that. It was a sleepwalk game.
Can we start at the end, though?
Let's start at the end.
Jeez. Let's give us that.
Yeah.
Let's start at the end. A wild finish. I think everybody was on their feet by the end of that sequence, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
Tatum, who got the rebound there? White got the rebound, gives it to Tatum. He could have just ran around and tried to dribble the clock out. Holiday gets open and then goes up for the dunk. Listen, I love Holiday just as much as more than the next guy, really, except maybe, me and you, we love Holiday, John. We'll say that. But that was a play that we would have been cringing if Memphis hits that 3 in transition.
This was Holiday's first legit bad game in every way imaginable. He was making bad passes all game, just careless with the basketball, poor decision making, just stuff you don't normally see from him. Just it was like this felt like a full circle, like Ghost of Marcus Smart sort of performance where Holiday would play like ass for 3.5 quarters and then pull it out, pull it out at the end. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to give a third of that blame pie to Tatum for hitting him on the cut. Tatum's just got to hold on to that ball. Just hold on to the ball and wait for the foul.
I mean, I get it. You go up by 4, game's kind of over, but also don't risk that, right?
Yeah, so that was silly. And then Porzingis bailed him out with his 6th block, and Porzingis came to play the entire night. Just a weird game, too. And I like that. Someone put this in my feed. Chris Stops. I like it. And that's what he did tonight. That's what he did. So
Can
again,
I address something really quick?
Yeah, I guess.
Just a comment I'm reading here. This clown said to bet a -800 money line. WTF is this? Yeah, the whole point of me saying that was because it activates your $150 bonus bucks. So you bet $5 on any money line, and you win that bet. You get $150 FanDuel bonus bucks. So yes, this clown said to bet an -800 money line.
Guys, for
Figure
the
it
promo,
out,
for the FanDuel promo, you're only making a $5 bet. So yes, you want to grab the most lopsided thing possible.
God. Should ban you right now. I should ban him from the comments for being that stupid, but I won't because I'm a nice guy. Just know I'm giving you a free pass, saving you. Next. All right, continue, John.
I don't know. So everybody was bad. The whole team just dragged ass for 3 quarters. I thought it was really interesting that Joe, and I tweeted this too, Brown went in for an out of control. Brown had just gotten an emotional tee the possession before. This is about 5 minutes into the third quarter. And then Brown goes kind of wild into the lane, misses a shot. No foul is called. Tatum's stuck in the corner, and he's standing watching. And his guy busts it up the court. And then Tatum's like, uh-oh. And he starts jogging behind him and ends up in a transition 3. Joe calls a timeout. And again, typically Tatum comes out there. He sat both of those guys. He was done. He was done there. That's as close to a benching as you're gonna get from Joe. Mm-hmm. And I know that's the second time that's happened to Tatum, and I caught it again too. And I can't remember what
you've been looking for it.
No, but the same exact thing happened, and Joe called a timeout, and Tatum came out, but that was also his rest time. Right. And it's not going to be like I'm going to make an example of Tatum and pull him out of here, but he sat him. He sat his ass there for the rest of that quarter because it was a weird Tatum game. And then obviously he made a series of plays late to pull it out. I thought they came out and they played harder in the fourth quarter. It was just still a slop fest because they spent three quarters not really kind of getting any flow to the game and not getting in any sort of rhythm. But that's just kind of how it went there for those first 3 quarters. It's just an ugly game.
Ugly game.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, ugly game. You can call it maybe a bit of a trap game. I think, listen, they're humans.
Yeah, 7-10 mark. Horford comes in for Tatum, Pritchard for Brown, Hauser for Holiday. All 3 of them were playing horribly at that point. Mm-hmm. Horribly. I don't know that.
Did they go out last night, John? Maybe they went out in Memphis last night? Do we know?
Grabbing barbecue with Bobby?
Bobby is on the scene. That would be some good reporting if he happened to find out what the team
I
was
don't
up to
believe any of those guys played the rest of that third quarter.
Well,
Holiday, Brown, Tatum, they all started the fourth. They sat their ass. Dude, you sat all 3 of those guys, Tatum, Brown, and Holiday, from the 7-10 mark on all the way through the rest of that quarter. So Joe was definitely not super thrilled with how things were going at that point. And for what it's worth, the margin stayed the same. They were up 3 when it happened and up 3 after the third. So it wasn't, they didn't lose anything there, but you had that, you sat those 3 guys down, and then Porzingis gets his 4th foul and he's got to come out of the game at about, God, when was that? 5-minute mark? Or there's 5 minutes left in the quarter, so 4 minutes. So you're without your 4 best players.
You lost me.
I'm saying Joe didn't like it. Joe.
No, he didn't.
That to me is a message. Like, I think he actually sent a message there. Like,
I
he
think you
sat
got to
those guys.
listen. You should send a
He
message.
sat those guys. He sat those guys, and then he lost Porzingis to a fourth foul, and he had to sit the rest of that quarter. And he had lost them for the whole third quarter. And I think he was just annoyed with how the game was going, and justifiably so. And you don't see that.
I would expect and hope that he says something similar in the post game. I know Bobby's there and he'll have the full report, but
I'm curious.
if you're not, if you're not, John, if you're not frustrated, then like, what are your feelings? Like, do you have real feelings? We joke that he's like Coach GPT, but I think you'd have to be frustrated when you know that your team, what your team's capable of, and the level that they're playing down to the opponent. There's no other way around it. You're playing down to your opponent. You know, you look on the other side, you don't get really fired up for anybody specifically to play up against. And you kind of, like you said, coast the first 3 quarters, just trying to get by on half-assed talent alone. And it's frustrating. I can imagine it's extremely frustrating from a coaching standpoint. And then, you know, they got away with it. So,
yeah,
you know, you don't want to create these little bad habits where they think they can get away with it. And because tonight they did. But I would say, how many other teams in the NBA you probably can't get away with it? Maybe 28 other teams. Memphis might be the only one. So,
well, I mean, and a quote from the locker room here, Missoula, I don't think we took them lightly. I think they played harder than us, though. Sure, I guess that's kind of two sides of the same coin, right? I mean, you didn't if they played harder than you, you weren't ready for it, you know, to match their energy, which you would expect to get from a spunky team that's like, I mean, think about it this way. You're the best team in the NBA, and you're coming in there, and they're shorthanded. No one's giving them a chance. Like, I guess you could pull a Wizards and lay down, but your average team with any sort of, you know, and guts or whatever is going to be like, we're taking these guys, you know, like we're going to prove it to these guys. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to bust. So you got to be ready for those. People are going to be looking. This is like you're some team's Super Bowl, you know, like they want to take you down. So you have to expect that you're going to go into these places and they're going to want to take down the big bad Celtics. So
they get the target on their back.
Means you did take them a little bit lightly. So I wonder. I think Joe, you know, was definitely a little bit annoyed there because that was just a really bad. And again, that's a couple for Tatum and a weird Tatum game, right?
There you go, John.
Because you've got,
There's a question. Benjamin. Super chat. Did Joe said all?
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the chat's coming in. You guys, the chat's coming into us a little bit behind. So if we're late on something like that, just know
Benjamin. That's what I was talking about. He sat 3 of the 5, and then he had to sit Porzingis because he had fouls. So that's what happened there. He picked up his 4th, which again was a very challengeable call had Joe not wasted it in the first quarter. We're going to get in on that in a little bit because this is starting to get stupid. But it's not the issue for the night. It's Celtics showed up and it was kind of same old Celtics. To put a positive spin on it, Jimmy, this is what I would say.
Oh, wow.
This is a game.
What's that? This moment in history, John puts a positive spin on something. Here we go. What do you got?
This game, they lose. It's another classic example of a game that they lose a year ago, right? Like this reminded me of this reminded me.
I feel like we say
this
that
reminded me of OKC. No,
yes, the OKC game. Oh,
OKC without Shea, right?
Yep, SGA. Absolutely, this was like that. This is similar, right? I mean, that team last year without him was a bunch of players that nobody knows for the most part, and they were not a team that had any business competing with the Celtics. But the Celtics lost, and the Celtics lost that game. And there's a few like that. So this is one where they get Joe. So John, did they get away with it or did they overcome it?
Both
tonight.
Both. I think.
Because I do think they played hard enough down the stretch where you could argue that they overcame it. And I love the Porzingis block at the end, and I love the fact that he taunted him at the end. I mean, almost could have got teed up. Who knows? But he was just fired up. I mean, he made a nice block on that play, didn't give up on it. It was a wild sequence. The 3 could have dropped. I don't recall who took it. Was it Santi, the guy who was hot all night? Aldama? It might have been. If that goes in, it's a completely different story tonight. Obviously, we're leading with still leading with that, but the Celtics blow one, right? But so that's the getting away with it factor, I guess. They got away with it tonight.
But for a couple of reasons. One, I do think they showed up to play a little bit more in the 4th, even though they weren't playing necessarily well. they were playing harder. I don't think they played hard for 3 quarters.
But don't they have to play harder? Like if you're the Grizzlies, you have to play harder. You're not.
No, the Celtics.
Oh, okay.
The Celtics did not play hard for 3 quarters. Porzingis was good. Hauser came in and did what he did, but they didn't play well. And it was, and again, and Joe, for all intents and purposes, sat their asses in the third.
Yeah,
because they sucked, but they came out and they played better and they played harder in the fourth. So that's one reason why they were able to pull it out. But two, it's another issue of talent, and that's what's different about this team this year. I think in years past, if you have games where Tatum and Brown are just checked out, you're done. Like there weren't enough people to pull them out. Maybe you'll get the rare the game where one of the other guys will go bananas and do it all themselves. But for the most part, you couldn't survive really games when both of those guys weren't.
These guys went out last night.
You couldn't survive games when one of the two was like super ice cold sometimes. So
right.
So Porzingis saved their ass. He was the only one who was active, active and aggressive, offensively consistent with what he was doing. And then the 6 blocks, he was everywhere on that stuff. So he came to play the whole night and bailed him out.
I'm just looking at Tatum's line and he took 1 3-pointer. That's not a surprise. I obviously watched it, but it's just funny to read back. Like, what do we got?
If this is true, this is a good start from Ryan Bernardoni. 2010 teams that have lost all of the turnovers, 3-point makes, and offensive rebounds by 5 or more in a game were 15 and 144.
Teams that have lost all of turnovers, 3-point makes, and offensive rebounds by 5 or more in a game.
Yeah. If there's anybody hiding in the press room today, it's Washburn, because this is the classic. Nothing against Gary, we love him, but that's
Gary doesn't hide.
It's the classic case of you see the percentage on here on the stat, but what you don't see is the volume. And this is what Joe preaches all the time is the volume of threes has to be high. We have to take more. We have to make more. It's not as much about the percentage. Celtics took 31 threes. Joe is going to make them take 75 threes tomorrow to get rid of this one. Okay. And the Grizzlies took 44, 17 out of 44. So again, even though the Celtics were shooting 40-41%, whatever it was for a little while, they ended up roughly the same percentage. It's the volume of threes, and that drives Joe crazy. I mean, look at this game. You shoot,
But why though? Like, why did Tatum take 1 3? I mean, if you look at it,
that's what I don't get.
That's what I'm getting. Like it just doesn't add up to me. Like if you look at his last games, for 3-pointers alone, we're talking about takes 11, 10, 12, 9, 11, his last 5 games. And he takes 1 tonight. Were the Grizzlies doing something that successful that he couldn't even take 3-pointers tonight? It just doesn't make sense to me that was his output from the 3-point line. I mean, he only took 13 field goals. So overall, that's a low number. In fact, that's the lowest number of the season, attempts wise. He did 14 against Philly on November 8th. But 7 of 13 tonight, it's his lowest attempts, and only 1 3-pointer, obviously, also his lowest attempts. So weird Tatum night. Again, like I don't know if he was like sluggish looking out there, or I don't know what the reason was. We got to get Inspector Bobby on the scene. He's got to go. He might have to go door to door to these clubs tomorrow and try to get an idea if the team was out having a night last night, because I can't think of any other reason why this is the performance that we got. I'm not accusing them. I'm just want to, do some investigative journalism. Let's keep Bobby there for an extra day. We'll tell Nick to change the flights.
Yeah, we need him.
Put on the hat. Put on the bucket hat. Go undercover. Memphis.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably fun.
Who knows what it was?
You probably get into trouble there.
What it was. Yeah, Memphis is fun.
Maybe they were meeting up with
what else is fun,
Marcus.
Jimmy?
Yes.
You know what else is fun?
You tell me.
This can be fun. If you want to
listen up, A.
if we want to get, I know people. Jimmy was being derided for his
No, I had to
bad
sun.
money
I
line.
had to sun him. He is now my son. Continue.
For his bad money line advice, but this is
it was good money line advice.
What Jimmy is saying to do is a bad money line bet, but a good bet for this FanDuel promo, which we're going to tell you about. If you visit FanDuel.com/Boston, you sign up today. You can get 150 in bonus bets when you place a winning $5 money line bet. Now, a money line bet is betting on the winner straight up. And obviously, when you're heavily favored, like the Celtics, the odds are very poor. So you'd be betting $5 to win like $1.40 or something like that. So your return is bad, but the point is you just want to win this $5 bet, even though you're going to win very little. So you want to bet a sure thing, and that's going to unlock the 150 in bonus bets that you get that you can now bet on anything, and you could be really smart, just like
Right.
A is.
He's actually not.
No, you can bet smart like A. So if you do that, you go to FanDuel.com, which is, we have to mention, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network and the official partner of the NFL. And as you know, the NFL is in full swing. Didn't have the Pats to bet on. Some crazy lines this week, though. The over-under in the Pittsburgh Browns was like one of the lowest in a decade at 34. And obviously they came way under.
Yeah, the game was because it was like 10-10 late in the game.
You
Right.
couldn't set that one low enough. I mean, that could have been 26. It'd be like, take it, hammer it. And then Patriots Giants all of a sudden
Pittsburgh
got a lot
lost
more
that game.
interesting.
That was a tough loss for them.
I'm curious to see what that is because the Giants
would hate to be a Steelers fan right now. Would hate it.
Yeah.
Almost as bad as being a Pats fan.
Yeah. Check that out. FanDuel.com/Boston. 150 in bonus bets when you place a winning $5 money line bet. Conditions do apply. These are non-refundable bonus bets. Make sure you check it out at FanDuel.com/Boston. Back to the game, Jimmy. And again, you seeing any post-game stuff trickle out yet?
No, I was just cruising Twitter right now, but my feed is not serving me right now, so nothing for
credits
me.
Tatum for why he's good in the clutch.
There you go. Bobby's got a couple of tweets.
What's Bobby saying?
Porzingis said Memphis's physicality on switches, quote, into our body, pushing, not letting us get underneath screens, end quote, bothered the Celtics and played into Boston's low 3-point attempt total. So basically, they were physical, got right underneath them. Maybe that was
Porzingis just gave the NBA a
maybe Marcus.
Report.
You know what? That could be the Marcus Smart effect. Marcus might say, "Hey, you know what? I know that Tatum hates this. Do this. You know what Brown hates? This. Do this," and just coached him up into doing that. That could definitely be a part of this. Something else from Bobby.
Couple other factors. Yeah, one of the Bobby one, again, this is semantics, but looking at Bobby, what he said here, Missoula in reaction to the Tatum, he wanted to try a Celtics lineup without Holiday, Tatum, and Brown in the third to find a new look and some rhythm. That's a nice way of saying I didn't like the way those guys are playing, so I wanted to try some other people.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't an angry benching, but I think he was all set with those guys right there.
Sure. And what better?
And he also said he wasn't happy about he liked the way they started, but tonight I'm not happy about it. I don't know what that means, but
he said can't expect perfection, but the guys in the locker room set a high standard for themselves. So
yeah,
you know, that's the scuttlebutt coming out of the locker room right now.
I didn't think that we deserved to win that game because of a lot of the stuff we did. Look at this, Joe. Tonight's the night Joe became president. Okay, I'm happy to see it. You know, because you don't want to. You don't. It's can they play? Are they going to play 82 games perfect? No, they're going to play a few of these duds.
Yeah.
This is the first time they really played down to the level of their competition. They've had games where they just haven't played their best. This is the first time they clearly were like, we got this. And they effed around and they almost paid for it tonight.
They did. And Joe's saying the right things. You have to be critical to an extent of a performance like this, but also understand that you did get the win and you did sort of try to figure it out in the end. And again, the Porzingis block being one, I thought he had a great game. We haven't really talked a whole lot about him yet, but bits and pieces that you like. But overall, this is a game that you're happy that you got the win. But the only reason you're looking at the film is to show the guys that they were screwing up and when they were screwing up.
I want to address this one. I don't get the win is a win crowd 11 wins into the season. And sometimes losses might be better for you long term because you might need to learn a lesson or two. You really think the most important thing for this team is stacking W's early in the year or learning how to play right or avoiding games where they regress or old Celtics and stuff showed up? I think it's completely the opposite here. I think what you're looking for is you're building. It's progress. It's playing together, playing the right way, figuring out the right combinations, seeing improvement. I don't think it's like, oh, good, we got the win. Everything's okay. Shut up. Like, right. I don't think that's the way they view it at all.
No.
Like you
don't learn that way.
Your goals are to win a title. You're not going to do that by playing a bunch of shitty games over crap teams and escaping with W's at this point in the year.
100%. You don't win that way by just ignoring the bad things or only focusing on the good things. Oh, well, we won, so who cares what happened and how we got?
I don't get that. It's not a who cares. Of course you care. Like
you have to care, else you'll repeat it.
Yeah, the good thing is you found a way to win a game in which you sucked. But, like, give me a break. Like, we got the W. Shut up. Let's move on. Like, that's not how that goes. Like,
all right, end the show. They got the win. Who cares? Whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Win is a win. I don't know. Here we
Porzingis.
This is
once again
this is
another
tweet
quote
by Jay King. What do you got?
Go ahead. Read it.
Oh, read it?
Yeah, it's from Porzingis.
Yeah, Porzingis. I don't think we were taking them lightly. I think we were just maybe a little bit of a lack of focus in some situations. They played hard. They played really hard, and they came to win. I think it was just a bit of, and Amit, unfortunately, did not copy the whole tweet, so I don't know what the rest of that is. Thanks a lot, Amit. You left me out to dry. I didn't realize that you only sent
a little bit of that feeling is creeping up, and we have to stay even sharper in those situations, in those kind of games. So it could be that. Again, they're all saying the same thing in a nicer way. They don't want to say that they came in and mailed it in, but they're saying that they came in and mailed it in. And there's a bit of decorum here from a guy like Porzingis. Porzingis isn't going to come in and start weeing people, like they did last year. Well, we got to do this and we got to do that, when he knows full well he played well. And when he says we, he means they. And so he's not going to do that. So they're softening it. And Joe doesn't call people out in public either, but he's clearly saying he's not happy either. So they weren't happy. They got away with it. And that's, and that's that. Good. You steal these games. They're good. Again, when you're looking for those 1 seeds late in the year, it's much better to have them, have the W's, learn the lesson in a win rather than learn the lesson in a loss.
Yes. Yeah, of course you'll take the win. What?
Guys, I'm not going to lie. Everyone want me to talk about this? I didn't even know he had 8 turnovers. He didn't have 8 turnovers, did he?
Tatum or Brown?
Oh, my God. Tatum had 8 turnovers, not Brown. Tatum did.
I knew
Tatum was – the reason that Tatum had 8 turnovers because 4 of them were offensive fouls. He had 4 offensive fouls, and those count as turnovers.
Mm-hmm. Still, though, that's the turnover. That's reckless, not knowing your surroundings. So bad Tatum game, unbelievable. Yeah,
it was a horrible game.
Bad Tatum game. When it comes to shot selection,
bad Brown game, bad Drew game. They were all bad tonight.
And you got away with it only because you played the Memphis Grizzlies, who have nobody. So. In that sense, you can't say a win is a win. You're glad to walk out of there with a win. You're lucky to walk out of there with a win. But again, this is not a game that you're like. Missoula made it pretty apparent. Like he's not proud of this one. He's not hanging this one up on the fridge.
I'm looking up a couple things here.
What are you looking up? Just stats and stuff.
Yeah, Sam. I was looking up a little bit of Sam
Hauser.
Yeah, they were not Tatum pleading his case here. Not real turnovers, I swear. Tatum was checked out. He was checked out again.
Here's a Sam stat for you, John.
I hate this Tatum. I really,
Hey, he was not engaged tonight, and that was
you're bad, Tatum.
Sam Hauser, plus 17 tonight, John. How's that for a stat for you?
Let's get into Sammy a little bit.
Plus 17. Nobody was even close to that. Holiday was a -9, and Hauser was a plus 17.
Yeah. That's it?
Well, you said you were looking up something on Sam, and I was like,
I thought you were gonna say something else.
No, I think we were both maybe looking at something because I didn't realize that you were waiting for me to say something. But no, listen, plus 17 and 20, not just tonight, but Bobby said it on the last show, and it doesn't sound cool, but I mean, he could average 10 plus points a game for you this year. What Bobby said was 10, but I think based on the way his season kind of started, and obviously based on the way his career started, to be able to get that out of Sam Hauser is an unbelievable production. Coming off the bench. I mean, we're talking about a bench that
Hauser did
desperately.
Go at a fan. Yeah.
Did he? I missed that.
Yeah.
I love that. Go with those fans, man. Hey, give it right back to him. Respectfully, of course. He's been awesome. He's been great. The bench is in desperate need of when I say bench, I mean Horford or whoever Horford aside, right?
Yeah.
They're in need of somebody to sort of lead that unit. And Hauser has definitely stepped into that role this season so far. And maybe that's by default, but it's good to get somebody because Pritchard's had a bit of a slow start here. And after those two, it's anybody's guess, really. I mean, it's take your pick if you have to. You might just say, no, thanks. I'm not going to pick anybody, but that's kind of what you're dealing with right now. But Hauser's been great, and he's hitting those shots that he's in there to hit, and good things. Yeah, we'll do it. Thank. Wednesday's show is going to be.
There will be a pie cam on the show.
I'm picturing Wednesday's show to be a little nutty, to be completely honest.
There will be a pie cam.
I'm going to be at my parents' house. You're going to be in the kitchen.
I might do the show from the kitchen.
You should do the show from the kitchen. I would do it from. I can't do it from my parents' kitchen. My mom will have a fit if I'm just like in the way of a bunch of stuff.
I will set up my phone as the pie cam, as a remote cam in the kitchen, and every once in a while I'll pop in there and I'll say hi on pie cam. Let's bring in Bobby. What's up, Bobby?
He is.
What's going on? You got me?
We got you,
baby.
So,
Bobby, where did they go out last night? Where'd the team go out last night? Where's the
Not here.
Are you sure about that?
So, Bobby, you were in the locker room. It sounds like everybody was trying very nicely to say that they didn't show up for tonight's game without really saying it, but it was like, well, it's not that we didn't come out and take them seriously. They just played really hard and played harder than us. But it sounds from everything from Joe, from Porzingis, and also just Joe's actions, which again, call it what you will. A benching or not, sitting Tatum, Brown, and Holiday there in the third quarter from the 7:10 mark on, and they're just giving them the rest of the quarter off. I think there was clearly some dissatisfaction with how they were playing overall.
Yeah, and then Kristaps came along and directly said they looked down a little bit to the competition here tonight, and Joe stopped short of it. Essentially conceded it by saying they didn't play with discipline and all that different stuff. So they want to go to a different look in that third quarter, find some rhythm. It was just an off-balance effort all around. I mean, when do you see Jason not take a three for 3 quarters? That I think was...
What the hell was that, dude?
Yeah.
I know that Porzingis said it was the way that Memphis was defending them a little bit. Do you think Marcus Smart had the guys knowing how to, get up and in on these?
So I just asked Santi Aldama what Smart shared with them, and he said Smart talked for 10 straight minutes pregame about like Celtics tips and tendencies and stuff. And you did see him throughout the game in the huddles, talking to different guys about their positioning. We didn't get to talk to Marcus, on this trip, which was kind of stunk considering that's what we came out here for.
I can't believe that.
The huddles were pretty animated with him in there, him out on the court. He was even arguing with the refs at different points in this game in his booth out there. So
how much do you think he factored into how much you think he factored into, what it takes to throw guys like Tatum and Brown off their game?
Definitely, especially where Aldama was guarding him for a lot of this game. They, I think, cut off the positioning where he usually comes around screens and pulls up for shots. And there was one late where he could have shot. I'm sure you probably remember this, John. And he hesitated a little bit, drove, and then threw a pass into a turnover. It was one of the later plays in the game. That's the kind of stuff he was doing throughout this game. And you saw it a little bit up in Toronto, too, him just kind of playing off balance and stuff like that and hesitating and not attacking. He wasn't in attack mode for a lot of this game. There's only one real play I remember where he posted up, spun and, scored an easy look off the glass there. So last two games here, you've seen more of a passive Tatum, and he's going to have to shake out of that for this offense to reestablish itself a little bit. They just played off balance tonight, it felt like, all night. Joe said it himself. They were lucky to win this game. They really were.
Colin, I know there's some
what's up with that?
Controversy here. If we've missed it, it's unintentional. Sometimes the chat just flies by and it's hard to keep up. Because when I toggle off the screen to go to my graphics, I lose the chat for a couple of minutes. So I apologize.
I try to keep up with it though.
Jimmy tries to. Yeah, it's unintentional. We really do. We really do. Appreciate all of that, and don't want to. It's definitely unintentional. So Bobby,
that please don't stop giving us super chats.
Don't stop giving Jimmy money. Yeah, is what Jimmy wants you to say.
I'm kidding.
But Bobby, other takeaways for you?
I just thought it was a bad night. It was really the first night you could look at and say the effort wasn't there, the connectivity wasn't there defensively. I thought they were just brutal on defense for much of this game. The turnovers, I think, are starting to rear their head a little bit. 8 for Tatum in this game.
It started early too. They were throwing weird, careless passes early in the game. It's the type of stuff that you do when you're not taking the opponent seriously. You could get that vibe early in the court. Early in the game, they were doing it.
Yeah, and even midway.
2 bad passes early. Holiday and Tatum early in the first couple of minutes. Just weird, kind of attempts in the low percentage passes that we're never going to get through. Holiday again made a really bad, lazy entry a couple minutes later. It started in the first quarter. It started early in the first quarter.
Yeah, and I think that's a big reason they like taking a lot of threes. Joe also mentioned the careless layup attempts. There was one play late where Porzingis just kind of shot this hook shot, and they were down 4 at the time. And if the Grizzlies grabbed it and hit a 2 or a 3 the other way, and you go down 6-7 late, they would have been in rough shape. But Drew grabbed an offensive rebound, kicked it, dumped it right off to Brown, and that was the pivotal play, I thought, in the game.
And then Tatum comes back, hits a 3 after that, and kind of gave him that little bit of a cushion. That was it. So. That was right after that next possession down. Tatum hits a 3. That was tight, and we talked about that. And that's a Joe obsession, right? The don't miss him at the rim because, and we've seen this for years, right? Especially when Tatum would go out of control, falling out of bounds. I mean, this was a huge thing for us, in the playoffs.
Jalen was complaining at one point when they gave up a dunk. Picked up a technical right after.
Well, and then after that, that's the play where Tatum got caught watching on an attempt where Jalen went into the basket, kind of out of control, threw one up there. Brown hits the ground. Tatum doesn't get back. His guy busts it back. Layup. That's the timeout. That's when Joe yanked them all. It was right in that sequence. So right before that, Brown had gotten the timeout. So yeah, they got into this again. And I got to tell you, I know people are like, "Oh, the refs." They showed a bunch of those replays. One time, Scal was trying really hard. A lot of them were not fouls. And a lot of the offensive fouls were either offensive fouls or you could probably not have called anything there. You know what I mean? Like there was a few of those.
They called a ton of fouls in this.
There was a lot of let them play fouls. You could have let them play on a bunch of them. So I thought there was some ticky-tack stuff for sure.
This game was somehow
they weren't getting hammered and it wasn't getting called.
This game was somehow 2 hours, 8 minutes with it's 19 plus 21. Give me a little math there.
You got to be kidding
40.
me. That one's a layup.
40.
I'm not a math guy, but 40.
Speaking of hook shot, we could do 30 straight minutes on Kata's hook shot. Holy crap.
Oh.
So what did you think of that? The de facto benching / let's try out these new guys. The Stevens one was especially weird. Just 2 minutes at the beginning of the fourth for no real reason. Didn't do much anything and then was just out of there. What's the point?
Say that one more time, Bobby.
I mean, throwing Cade in there for 5 minutes, Stevens especially for 2 minutes.
So here's the thing: you saw it again against Memphis. This is the type of game where you think you can take care of business a little early and start to get into your bench a little bit. But they were playing so poorly, he still only went 8 deep up until Kada. There you go. Up until Porzingis gets the 4th foul and he forces Kada into the game ahead of Luke.
That was like a Kada Cornet thing.
But he forces Kada into the game when Porzingis got a 4th foul. Then he tries some Lamar minutes out of nowhere. Let's see what happens here. And again, I mean, that guy hasn't played in 6 months. So, like, what are you expecting out of that? Like, Joe clearly has lost faith in, and I'm not saying they have any reason to have faith in them, but you do have a bench problem in the sense that you have too many guys who aren't great at anything. And I don't know what he's going to do there. You know, like I think he's, you know, it's 8 and that's it.
But you really got 2 minutes.
You really got to pick 1 or 2 guys who you think are your guys and just get them in there and let them learn to play with the other people. You can't stick Kada or Stevens in there for 2 minutes and expect anything out of them.
The Stevens thing was a waste of time.
Total waste.
When do you do it? Just in blowouts? And how do you really know?
No, you gotta find those pockets, especially fourth quarters there, Jimmy. And you know, everyone's kind of complained about Stevens not being in the mix. I mean, someone has to be the 14th
We've all said
roster who really isn't going to play as much, and it happens to be him right now. But if you are going to try to integrate him, can't be like this.
It's the whole rotation of, you know, Brissett got first crack. You saw a little bit of Banton.
That's the thing, right, John? You saw a little bit of Banton and Mihailuk, and it seemed like they were investing in those guys for a little bit, for a couple games there, and then they're gone. No, not a part tonight at all. Stevens is just in there for 2 minutes. So
you almost have what's the opposite of an embarrassment of riches? You know, like it's like you have too much of nothing, and you can't decide which of it is. It'd be better if there was a clearer hierarchy among the bench players, but there isn't. You're really from 9 through 15. It's a flip a coin. You know what I mean? There's no 15th guy. The 9th guy and the 15th guy are the same on this team. And that's the problem there, is they don't know which one to do. They might all be 14 and 15 guys. That's the problem. The drop might be that significant where you really don't feel good about any of them. It'd be better, I think, to just commit and try to develop 1 or 2 and get them to kind of work with the rest of the guys so you could break glass in case of emergency. But right now they're afraid of all of them.
Yeah, you end up pretty decent off the bench though, plus minus wise, with Hauser's great night. How Horford ends a plus. Pritchard held the line. So if we're taking the bench at its whole, and I know we can nitpick things left and right and how many guys they have here and what kind of contributions you're getting there, I think if we're weighing out the bench's overall play so far this year, especially with this recent surge, I think you feel okay about it so far. Not great, but Hauser's emergence, Al getting comfortable, Peyton not scoring and involved offensively, but grabbing every offensive rebound and being playable defensively. I think that's enough. And Cornet's had some solid minutes too recently. So your bench hasn't been a disaster, which is good considering the questions you had about coming in. I mean, this Hauser thing it's out of control. I mean, he is just out of this world right now shooting the ball. I mean, he took like a 3/4 quarter court shot tonight at the end of one of the periods, and it looked online. It was a little short, but it was very accurate. Yeah. I mean, he is just lethal out there right now.
Yeah. We were talking earlier, kind of like the whole, you know, the discussion in the chat, you know. Whoa. Thanks, Sal. Sal, throw in a comment.
Yeah. Toss something up. Something about Bobby.
Up and we'll talk about it.
No, I'm just kidding.
But we were talking about like whether or not it's important necessarily to stack up W's at this point in the year, and I know there's a lot of people that say that all the time, like whatever they won, or sometimes you need to kind of suffer a bad loss in order to take one step back to take two steps forward. Here's Joe kind of talking about that here after the game.
I mean, listen, like we got lucky to win that game. And we talk about it a lot on both. Like, you can win from losses. You can learn from losses. You can learn from wins. And like sometimes you're okay with a loss because you did some right things, and sometimes you're pissed because you didn't deserve to win. And I didn't think we deserved to win the game because of a lot of the stuff that we did. And so at the end of the game, there you either have to make the layup or you have to get fouled. There's no that's just how it is. So you either got to make it or you dribble the clock out and you get fouled and you make your free throws and the game's over. So. Credit to the Grizzlies for the way they played. I thought they just, outplayed us at times.
Rightfully calling out the late game execution.
That was really something.
Just really stupid for Tatum to give it to Holiday cutting, for Holiday to even cut, and then for Holiday to go up for a lefty slam with in a little bit of traffic.
Yeah,
that's so Holiday too. Remember the Giannis alley-oop in the finals? Similar situation.
Yeah. Good memory.
It reminded me of that so much.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I mean, the shot clock was off, right? And then Aldama, the other way, shoots a wide open practice three for the win. I mean, man, we would have went 30 minutes on that if they hit it.
Totally.
If he hit that.
Hold on. We got to give Colin his due here because we've ignored him unnecessarily. What would I take to bring in Caruso? Everything. I would a lot. I think he'd be great. The defense
done.
I mean, I would do a pick. I don't know exactly what. Bobby is
he's saying hi to somebody. That's okay. Caruso.
Or being told told he has to leave.
Oh.
He might have to vacate that spot.
Well, anyways, Caruso would be perfect for this bench. Scrappy guy. Plays hard on both ends.
He'd be phenomenal. He'd be so good. He's such a good defender.
But I don't know what they have. What do they have to offer? You said just
it's draft picks. It's always draft picks. And
so
then,
when you say
can you get the salary there?
You're giving up a first for Caruso.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
And like you gotta match the money, but that's the thing. Like you can't just match the money like that.
It's $10 million.
They have 6 guys that they can't touch. People don't want to get rid of Hauser anymore.
It's $10 million. I don't think you can trade Pritchard. So it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Bobby might come back.
Bobby will know exactly what they can do.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Did you get yelled at?
What would it take to get Caruso? You have to match the salary very closely, obviously, right? But you can't.
Now's the time to do it, right? He signed 2 years. You have a little bit of leeway with the salary now. I think it's 110%. So within $1 million or $2 million, probably money wise. Yep. So, Pritchard, Hauser, and Cornette would work maybe or something like that.
That must hurt.
You do have to stack a couple salaries to make it work. So if you're doing a move like that, you're consolidating your 3, give or take, bench guys you have right now. Oh no, Pritchard's still on the smaller deal. You're consolidating your 3 bench guys that you have right now. Who are
or Horford, and that's not going to happen. Yeah,
right.
Nah, you can't trade Horford. Yeah,
it's tough. I would love to have him. I'd love to have him.
It's going to be. Do you see Mark
the
Stein?
NBA didn't make it so damn hard to have
what
fun
did Mark say?
Mark Stein said there's double-digit teams lined up for Caruso. So do they get 2 firsts? I don't know. There's going to be big competition for a guy like that.
I mean that the salary and no, you can't use a TPE.
The TPE
has to fill the whole salary.
Yeah.
All right.
You can't use the TPE in another salary.
We're done. I mean, you could do like if the Bulls are really gonna tank here, could you do like a Banton, Stevens, Brissett, Mihailuk, Walsh thing, like 5 guys? I don't know.
Thanks, Sal. What a guy.
Guys, you can't use it. You can't use a TPE. You can't use a TPE and another salary. The TPE has to be the whole salary.
Yeah, it's got to be equal or under.
Yeah. So.
Damn, so many rules.
Again, we can't do it, guys.
Sorry. Is Larry Kuhn still? Is he still the guy?
Yeah,
He was the guy. He was the guy when nobody else cared about it. Remember him, John? Larry Coons.
He's the original.
You go to his website and he'd have all the things broken.
That's still the website. FAQ.
Yeah, but he must be, man. He's working overtime for these. This is just so much more complicated now.
Yeah, and it's still rolling out. It's tough to keep track of. Lots of hard caps now.
Yeah. Somebody said me and you, Bobby, went 2 first, but that wouldn't work either.
No,
we don't make enough. Unfortunately,
maybe John and Nick.
Yeah, that's true. John, that's a good one. That's really good.
Wait, what are we doing?
They said send me and Jimmy.
Trying to make the salaries match.
Chicago.
I get paid in pies.
It'd be nice if the CLNS crew could get a Zannis, homemade Zannis. What's your specialty? What's your favorite pie?
We're not going to get into pies this
That's true.
early.
Yeah, we can. That's a Wednesday question. Do you want that answer? You got to tune in Wednesday night.
I will say this:
crazy.
Pies have to go into different categories.
True.
Because you can't just say pie. Because
I know. I meant fruit.
Key lamb pie. Yeah. If it's just a fruit pie, I'll give you a sneak.
Don't give away all your secrets.
Right? Save it. All right, I won't do it. Yeah. But you can't put a coconut cream pie next to an apple pie and call them both pie and then rank them. They're totally different.
Right, and then you have the whole. Yeah, I don't want to get into it right now.
Like I said, there will be a pie cam on Wednesday, and we'll get into it there.
Is it pie? Is it crisp?
Bobby.
What's the difference?
As good an opportunity as ever to start your holiday to the bench rhetoric. This was legitimately, and I'm kidding. Of course you're not. It's the best. As good as that starting lineup was from 2 years ago, this current one is actually better, which is insane to think that it is. But this was Holiday's first legit bad game.
Yeah, he'll have them.
A bad game. It was really bad.
Yeah.
He could have had 12 more turnovers too.
It ends in that layup attempt, dunk attempt.
Bad decision making all game long. Really bad.
Started with one of those, you love and hate the post-ups with him because they can be some nice pacing baskets to break up a low against a smaller guy. And sometimes they're just erratic, throw it and miss the rim entirely. And that was that first one. Couldn't really find his footing or positioning offensively most of this game. I mean, the Grizzlies switching really did bother them in a bunch of different ways. I thought White wasn't great tonight for a lot of this one. And
happy birthday.
Everybody, I feel like, suffered against the switching tonight, except Hauser, who was obviously on the weak side quite a bit for these kickouts off offensive rebounds and things of the like. So he struggled with what pretty much everybody else on the Celtics struggled in this one. He couldn't come out of screens against mismatches and make stuff happen. The passing I thought was decent. He did have a few driving kicks for good looks in this one. There were a few sequences in this game where I thought they got downhill, kicked and made 2 passes for an open shooter. So I'll give him that. But yeah, not a ton of scoring in this one from him. Defensively, didn't see a ton from him either. At least just, remembering off the top. It didn't jump off the page as a disastrous game from him or anything. No, it just, wasn't what we've seen.
No, it was his first. It was his first bad one. We talked a little about Thanksgiving, but there's still. I'm telling you this. After Thanksgiving, when you're all set, last thing you want to do is shop or cook after what you're going to probably put yourself through. And your answer here to kind of get you through these next few days, all the way to the holidays in this busy holiday season, is take advantage of HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit, sponsor here at the Garden Report. And now, not only can you get your dinners taken care of, you get free breakfast when you use the code CLNS free at HelloFresh.com/CLNS free. Free breakfast for life. That's not a joke. Imagine. If you use this code every single time you order HelloFresh, you get a breakfast item included in your box, which is insane. So check it out. Seasonal recipes, you can get them right now. And you know the deal with HelloFresh. You can basically customize your menu to get whatever you want. Family style, vegetarian, protein plus, low carb, low calorie, keto, gluten-free, doesn't matter. Wow. Whatever you want, you can mix and match proteins and sides and vegetables. It comes to your door, farm fresh, portioned out, already chopped up, and whatever you have to do with them. And all you got to do is just mix it all up and make a meal. 15 minutes later, you're eating good. So again, HelloFresh.com/CLNS free. Use that code CLNS free. Get free breakfast for life. Bobby, French toast. What do you think?
Yes, French toast, top of the list, but I'm interested to see their waffles. The waffles look good.
Can I say something?
I'm interested in their waffles. Yes.
It's French toast. I made a French toast today, and I wanted to just show a picture of it. This is what I was talking about on the show a couple of shows ago.
It's one of those fancy ones.
Right?
Did you put like caramel and waffles on it or something? Are you going to stick your phone up again?
I am. How else am I supposed to do it? It's just let me just get through.
There's no other way to do it.
A couple of shows ago, we talked about French toast, waffles, pancakes, ordered them. French toast won in a landslide, as it should. And I said, what you got to do is you got to put French toast, peanut butter, bananas, and then some maple syrup on it. And people in the chat obviously were trashing me, but this is what it looked like when I did it. Okay, so these are, and by the way, today's French toast was pumpkin. It was pumpkin brioche. So it was a pumpkin French toast. You can see that right there with bananas, peanut butter, and then some bourbon barrel maple syrup. This maple syrup just sat in a bourbon barrel for like, I don't know, years probably. And it was pretty good. John, thoughts?
I can't make any sense of that.
What can't you make? So it's in a.
There's so much going on there.
Yeah. So there's there's 6 different slices. So you would take a slice would be, you'd take a slice with the banana on it, but the peanut butter is keeping the banana sort of attached to it. Then you drizzle the maple syrup over it, and then I actually did a pinch of powdered
I think
sugar.
that's just a platter of diabetes right there, Jimmy. I'm like,
listen, this is why it's once in a blue moon. It's the holiday season. You're allowed to have a cheat day or a cheat, meal here and there. That's what that is.
Yeah, no.
Made my specialty because this was like a Friendsgiving thing, and I made my specialty, which is another sugary type food. This was, see if I can get this here. This is a butternut squash ravioli with a brown butter sauce and crushed pecans, however you want to say it, on top. And that was unreal. It's not messed up. It's actually really good. You have to try it.
It seems like a little much.
It's the peanut.
What I'm trying to make is if I had HelloFresh, I would have made it. I was late for this thing. It took me way longer than I thought.
I like the fruit.
HelloFresh.
What's funny is I like all of the ingredients in that French toast individually, but putting them all together in that thing is
it's unbelievable. You got to do it. You got to understand it, though. I'm gonna make it for the crew. If we ever do our cooking show, I'll do that.
John, we're bummed we didn't get the invite this year.
I didn't. It's not like you didn't get invited to a party.
We didn't get invited straight up, Bobby.
It's not like you didn't get invited to a party I'm having.
He doesn't know what to say, Jimmy.
We got 3 guard reports between now and Thanksgiving. When were we going to do this? We're tonight, Monday, and Wednesday. And then I teach on Tuesday. There was I couldn't do it this year.
Here comes the swamp.
Well, Friday.
Where's the violin, Bobby?
Well, you guys are the ones complaining.
I don't care if you teach on Tuesday. I'm not going to a Tuesday. We don't prime time slot here. We don't want a Tuesday night. You want a good slot of your
Jimmy
week. We want a
Jimmy. I will say this
full meal show.
Jimmy,
yes.
I will say this. I would say you're probably maybe Sherrod, the most consistently popular guys on the Garden Report, right? Usually people have bad things to say about me and Bobby and our
dude.
takes.
Are you kidding
me?
Our approval ratings. Your approval ratings higher than ours. Okay, definitely. And your approval rating your approval rating just took a massive hit with that French toast. Like a massive hit.
Well, because people don't know. The thing is, John, people don't know what they like and what they don't like. We have to tell them. And so I'm telling you people that you like this French toast. You just haven't tried it yet. Get creative. This was this was like a Friendsgiving, but it was a creative thing. We weren't doing Thanksgiving food. So nobody complained about who had it.
The squash and the French toast looked the same.
So they're both sweet. They're both on the sweet side, right?
Wait,
so
was squash on there?
The ravioli was a butternut squash ravioli.
Sorry,
It was
Elrose. We're
so
not talking about
good.
the game because it's an hour in, and sometimes we get off track a little bit.
It was really good.
Yeah,
What
sometimes we
else
get
was
off
there
track.
from this one? I mean, Jalen
Well,
wasn't great.
No, he wasn't, but I'm not allowed to say that, so I'll wait for you to say it. In the meantime, we're going to talk a little bit about our guy,
You know what it
Chris
is?
Stapps.
The pictures just don't do it justice, but go on.
Chris Stapps, as you said, do we have it, Amit? Yeah. Chris Stapps at the podium here, he was talking about, again, playing down to the competition, which is something the Celtics definitely did tonight.
I don't think we were taking them lightly. I think maybe just, I don't know, maybe a little bit of lack of focus, some situations. They played hard. They played really hard, and they came to win. I think just a bit of discipline, a little bit. Maybe we have that feeling that we're gonna win anyway. A little bit of that feeling is creeping up, and we have to stay even more sharper in those situations, in those kind of games. So it could be that.
He also apologized to who took that last shot that he pulverized.
Oh, when he laughed at him after and
Yeah.
made fun of him?
Yeah, he apologized. He said he got too excited.
He's lucky he didn't get teed up for that one too. I loved it though. He
That's what he said. I asked him in Philly. He had 7 technicals. What's going on? Or he had 6 at that point. He picked up the 7th that night, but he was like, "Yeah, I'm just too excited, playing with a lot of passion right now,"
which is a good thing.
Yeah. He's been great. I thought he was good again tonight. Early on, he was dominating. They kind of got away from him in the post.
Yeah. It's like they got bored. You're right.
He's missed 6 straight threes now, last 2 games. So that's something to watch. Rebounding, he's got to be better on the boards sometimes. He really does. And it wasn't a terrible performance from him. He's starting to give you a little bit more in the passing game. It wasn't
terrible.
Lately.
He's the MVP tonight without question.
6 blocks. That's big. Big performance inside around the rim. That drop's really suiting him well inside. Fouling a lot, 4 more tonight, but I think you're getting more good than bad in there right now. Although there was one play where he really didn't get out. I don't think it was his screw up, but he ran out in transition, fired up a 3. He missed the rebound. Adama got it back, and they threw it to Bane for a baseline 2. And Joe came storming on the court, furious with a timeout. I asked him about that too, and he was like, "Yeah, Joe's pretty intense."
What was that? In which instance?
Transition play. I think Aldama threw up a 3 and missed it. Grabbed his own rebound and gave it it was the behind the back pass to Bane where he hit that 2.
It was behind the back to Bane, and it was a second. I starred this one.
Yeah.
It was they were just standing around. They got an offensive rebound, then it off of 1-3, and then it goes in the corner, and then the behind the back pass, and Bane hits it, and Joe was halfway out on the court. He was furious with that one too.
Yeah. Joe was not. He coached at post game big time, but Joe was not happy about tonight. And he did say that too. He said, "I'm not happy about this one, but you're not going to be perfect." That was how he put it throughout the course of the year. So we'll see how they respond. It was funny. Chris Stapps too was like, "Yeah, we'll bounce back from this one." And he was like, "Well, not bounce back. We won." So it is kind of funny these last 2 games where they didn't play well at all. They still win by a possession late with some good late game execution in Toronto. I would not qualify tonight as good late game execution, but it's still going to go down as a win in crunch time for them. So, I mean, Memphis stunk down the stretch. What the hell were they doing? That Bane 3, with 2 guys in his face. Aldama tried to go.
Well, also he had Porzingis on the perimeter, and he was, on him on a switch. And I just don't think he was going to get enough separation to get that 3 off.
He kind of lost his dribble too a little bit.
He should have recognized that he was trying to set him up for it, but Porzingis was only playing the pull-up. He was going to let him get back and let him get behind him and either catch up with his length or let the help come over. Yeah. But he was clearly defending the 3, and Bane, I think, realized it too late. And he's like, "Oh, crap."
Aldama went behind his back again and turned it over, which was really where they lost the game. I don't know what the hell he was doing there. So you got bailed out. I mean, Joe put it perfectly. They didn't deserve to win this game, and they did. And That's sometimes how it goes for a team like this. I mean, it's more about Memphis just not having enough talent right now. It's unbelievable where they're at right now, roster-wise.
Addressing the $1 question that's on the screen right now and acknowledging this super chat. We can't answer it, though many of us already have an opinion. But we're not going to say anything right now. But this is going to be this is the $1 zillion question when the season winds down.
Yeah, we'll do a whole episode on this question.
Yeah, you kind of got to wait and see, right? But Porzingis has made a strong case to be a reliable part of this dynamic going into the future, especially on an affordable contract at $30-ish million a year. So he's staking his claim early. We'll see how healthy he stays throughout the flow of the year and consistent and within the flow of the team's offense here. And it's been a challenge for Jalen. We've talked about it, but just like with the bench where we had this big concern coming into the year, I feel like Jalen has held the line and played good enough, and his overall contributions have been above what you've expected, given the challenges he faced coming into this year, I'd say. I got to look at the numbers and all that, but shooting well from three, playing within the flow of the offense, turn it over a little too much. I mean, that just feels like a given with him at this point. But I think overall his contributions have been a net positive. I mean, 2 steals, 2 blocks tonight, too. That nice chase down. Even on a night where he's not great, he found a way to impact this one. And only scored 12 points, but he got out of here with a win. That's all you can really say about this one. It stunk to watch. It was brutal execution-wise. They're probably going to hammer this team, tomorrow morning, whenever they meet for the game in Charlotte, tomorrow. And they're not going to have Horford tomorrow, which is going to be a challenge. But this stunk. You just kind of throw this game in the trash, I think, and just say, man, we screwed up this one. At least we won.
Yep.
You guys talk smart at all?
No, well, we talked a little bit with you about how he was giving them pointers.
Yeah. Some interesting stuff from Jalen this morning. So we've heard Jalen and him kind of have
about the I hated him.
So that was really the most forceful and honest.
I really didn't like him when I first met him for a multitude of reasons. Didn't like his vibe. That was what Smart said.
Yeah, he talked about like a healing process between them. And I even talked to someone tonight who was like, kind of goes back to that comment he made about Jalen and Jason to begin that year with Ime. Because I was blown away by how forceful and honest Brown was with that comment. Again, to quote it exactly, I don't have it in front of me, but what did he say exactly, John?
Oh, I can pull it up. I can
pull it up because I don't know it exactly either.
I actually have the cut here. Want me to play it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I have it cut up here. Let me just
what a guy.
Call it up. This was Jalen this morning at shoot around.
You're not going to play it on your phone and show it to me like French Toast, are you?
No. I got the real deal right here.
Whoa. French Toast was the real deal, first of all.
Here we go. Jalen this morning talking Marcus Smart.
For sure. I couldn't stand Marcus at first. and that just goes to show, and I love him now, so it'd be like that sometimes, like as you just grow and mature as young men, like you learn things about people, you learn why people the stuff that goes on behind closed doors, and like overall, if you just get to learn people a lot more in this world, you can kind of understand the perspective that somebody might be speaking from, and maybe you can relate to a lot of the issues, and then the healing processes can start. And I feel like that's a thing in our world that nobody gets to know anybody, and it's kind of why people are at ends with each other. But no, me and Marcus, we didn't start off great. I wasn't the biggest fan of Marcus when I first got to Boston, but plethora of reasons, you name it. But over time, I realized that me and Marcus have similar spirits, and then like if I was going to war with anybody, Marcus would be one of my first phone calls.
Interesting.
So pretty
now do Tatum.
I got
It was funny.
I got something on that, but I'm gonna hold it. Okay. I got something.
Will we hear him say that one day?
I got a few things,
Yeah,
but
hold
anyway.
on to that. Hold on to that, Jim.
Just give me a minute. You go ahead, Bobby. You were there.
Jalen said, "I love him now." No, I mean, we've heard Jalen say they had their ups and downs. You know, the rumor was always that they were the ones on either side of that bubble locker room battle that, you know, I hope we hear more in depth about one day. But you remember, and I'm glad, you know, someone brought up that comment Smart made about Brown and Tatum's passing. You guys remember that one, right? It was like the second game of the year against the Raptors in that Ime season where Smart was like, you know, everyone's knows what we're going to do. You know, the ball is going to be in those guys' hands. They got to pass it, blah, 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 blah. If you remember after that, I think Jalen got asked about it and he was like, yeah, you know, we probably didn't need that comment from him, something to that effect. So you've had little things between those two over the years there. And I was just very surprised to hear him talk about it so candidly there. And, you know, he's usually couching things. He's usually tight to the vest. And I actually did appreciate him, you know, opening up about how he felt about Marcus. And Jason went on to say that, you know, you got to learn to love Marcus. So kind of a agreement there with Jalen's assessment of
so
him.
I want to get I have something to say, but first off, we want to say thank you, Colin, we wish you wonderful holidays.
Thanks, Colin.
We really do appreciate it. Thank you
to all our day oneers.
Every day one.
What do you think?
Everyone who's jumped on the bandwagon since, not a bandwagon, but everyone who's joined us along the way since, and the people who are here every single night, we really do appreciate you more than you could possibly know. It makes it fun. I know you guys enjoy chatting with one another. It's, you know, a fun community. And I know you guys obviously, you know, have your kind of routines and your rhythms with each other in the chat here, and enjoy coming in here and talking basketball with us for an hour plus after each game. So we really do appreciate that. And we are thankful, and we do wish you all happy holidays as well. So Colin. Thank you, Colin, and thanks to all of you guys.
We almost didn't post a super chat just to mess with them. But
no, Jimmy suggested we don't post a super chat. No one else considered it.
No, I let you know that we had one. And then I said,
Fuzzy, you're important.
Yes.
Everybody's important. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Even the haters.
The haters are the most important, too.
Judah wants to know when it started. We started when as soon as they came back to play during the pandemic in the bubble. Because everybody was
back when the Celtics traded Desmond Bane.
Everybody was home. No one had any access to any sports. We couldn't go to Disney and cover the team. You know, our reporters like Bobby or Josue, you know, couldn't go down there. So we were just like, well, we're stuck at home.
I was even going back then.
Yeah, and Jimmy was going to games. So we just said, let's just start doing this, okay? And we did, and it caught on quick because I think people were just dying for something because we were all sad and alone and scared, and you know, sports.
Well, we still
started.
We
still are. Sports started again, and we had like a chance. Everybody was like, "This is cool," and actually was just fun for people to like hang out with other humans. I think it was a good connection that people made early on, and they were like, "All right, let's do this." And the Celtics had a good run through the playoffs that time, so it was a lot of fun. So it started there, and we just kind of continued it from that point on. And one time, Sherrod Blakely, a guy named Sherrod Blakely, was in our chat.
Yeah.
And he was commenting, and I was like, is this Sherrod or a fake Sherrod? And he was like, no, it's me. And I said, get on the show. And I sent him a link, and he jumped on the show, and he's been on ever since, which was great. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, Sherrod's been a great addition for sure.
Oh, yeah, dude, he's the man. But when we started the show, the goal was we wanted it to be what it was like for a group of friends to just talk about the game, because we couldn't really do that during COVID as much. You know, like, you know, obviously you weren't at work at the water cooler talking about the game, or you weren't wherever, you know? So we were just like, let's just go on and hit record and just talk about the game for a bit.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it started.
Yeah. So thank you guys again. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for the,
love this. Finally, some love for Drew. He's been getting a lot of crap.
I I'm not going to say anything bad about Drew. I think
much
it just
money is
takes,
that, by the way?
it takes learning. Like it takes, you got to get used to it a little bit. I think he kind of brings some of that like national ESPN sort of style to the broadcast, and people just aren't used to it yet. But I think once he gets his, he's a pro and he calls a good game.
That's
So we
almost
said
$4.
we had him on the Garden Report before the season, and one thing he said that I think people got to take into account here is he's not trying to be Gorman. He's
got
being
his style.
Himself.
Yeah.
So
I
like
I
it.
like him.
I think it works well with Scal too.
I was just gonna say
which is
that.
important.
I think him and Scal have a good thing. John, I think you joked that like Scal loves him.
Yeah.
So I think the one thing I will say, he did not get a Happy Gilmore reference last show, which to me, a Billy Madison reference. So different Adam Sandler movie from the 90s. But
he should get a Billy Madison reference. That's from Scal.
You would think that he would get a Billy Madison reference. It's not like a movie from the 60s. Billy Madison was an unbelievable movie.
All right,
still
let me give my Marcus take, and then I got a special announcements for everybody. So don't go anywhere yet. It's actually a pretty interesting special announcement, and I'll tell you guys about it. And I'm not just saying it to keep you until the end. But here's my thing with the Marcus. Here's the Marcus thing. We have we talked about this, and everyone said just shut up. And like every time people talked about strife or chemistry or this or that, oftentimes it was based on what two things? Based on, I think it's Marcus, and why isn't Marcus grabbing these guys and telling them to get it together? I don't think those guys really always wanted to hear it from Marcus. I think Marcus had to lead in his own way, and that was just through his own actions. But I don't think he was a William Wallace, follow me to freedom, everybody charge into battle behind him sort of guy. Because I don't think those guys really wanted to hear it from him. I don't think they liked getting crap from him. I think they thought they were their own guys. That was always there. They respected each other because they knew he was going to battle every night, but there was friction. And, Brown kind of confirms it there that they would clash a little bit, and they'd always say, oh, it's like brothers fight. And I don't think that's wrong, but sometimes you also want to freaking kill your brother, So like that was part of it. And I think it was there the whole time. But now what do you see? We're a few games into this year, and what's the behind the scenes storyline that everybody seems to love right now? Jalen and who?
Porzingis.
Jalen and Porzingis. They love each other, right? They're so friendly. Listen to all the nice things Jalen says about him, and everybody celebrates those things.
They do the podium together.
We're literally begging for that kind of thing with him and Tatum, but people are saying it doesn't matter if they're friends. Well, are we seeing Porzingis and Brown go backdoor and work with one another nonstop now that they're buddies? They've developed a connection off the court, and it translates to on the court. And that's all.
And Drew got asked that.
And that's all we've been asking from Tatum and Brown for years. And everyone's like, it doesn't matter as long as they respect each other. It does matter. The more you like each other, the better it is. It doesn't mean you have to be best friends to win, but those connections are important. I'm glad Brown has it with Porzingis,
John.
And honestly, if Smart wasn't that guy for them, or it was a hot and cold sort of relationship, I'm glad he's not here to kind of, because like sometimes in those situations when things are going well, you can bond together, but when they're not going great is where that kind of friction kind of pops up again. So if Marcus was a source of it, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world he's necessarily gone. That stuff matters. But anyway, that's my kind of take. It matters when you want it to, or it doesn't matter when you don't want it to. But I think it always matters. Having them like each other more and being more connected off the court helps them on the court.
Drew said in training camp, he got asked, it does matter. I don't know how you can do it without that.
Yes.
The relationship. So
I love that because I felt that was almost like a subtweet of like kind of the pre-existing culture here, which is like, yeah, it's got to carry. Like you got to love each other,
Yeah. I also think it was more him not understanding that undertone. And
I don't think he got it, but it was interesting that he said it because
it was just his perspective on it in general.
There it is. This is what I get every time. They weren't friends. We said this, Judah. It doesn't always matter. You can win not loving each other, but it's better. It's better.
If you're the greatest shooting guard and greatest center.
Think about this, Judah.
It's better when you do. Yeah,
think about this. That dynasty ended earlier than it needed to be. They wanted to go off. Shaq wanted to go off on his own and do his own thing. Ask Shaq how he feels about ask Shaq today how he feels about his relationship with Kobe and what he regrets about a lot of that stuff. So it does matter to an extent. And yeah, listen, you know when it really matters? When things start to go south, when things aren't going well. Yeah. That's when it matters if you like your teammates or your coworkers or whoever, right? That when you're boys, when you're friends, that's when you guys really learn what you're made of. And so it absolutely does matter. Now, the first year or two or whatever, when Jalen joined the team, that was the Kyrie era too. So there was probably a lot going on that we don't know about that made it I'm not going to say toxic. That word gets thrown out there a lot, but it made it probably not the best situation. But it absolutely does matter.
Too. Everybody who leaves the team stinks. Grant stinks, Smart stinks, but these same fans defended these guys to the end when they were here. I can't stand that. I was going back and forth with some people about Grant last night too. Smart didn't stink. He had some frustrating tendencies.
We're not saying they have a bad relationship. They've openly admitted that they're not boys. They don't hang. It's based on respect. All we're saying is the closer you are with one another, I do think that translates on the court. It doesn't mean you can't win without it. We're not, they're mutually exclusive. Like, you can win, absolutely, but it's always better if you love the guys, you love coming to work. When things are bad, you're all in it together. You've got each other's backs.
Or you're on the same page.
Yeah, you're on the same page. A lot of times when things go bad, people just kind of go off into their own corners, so it's much better when you're really connected with your teammates.
And that happened in the East Finals, didn't it, when they went down?
I feel like it happened a lot. When they would suffer, everyone would be looking around and be like, so no one's going to do anything, huh? And then it would just kind of, I wouldn't say resentment, but you could see it, like, they weren't.
Joe mentioned that. Yeah. You got to stay together, and done a decent job in some high leverage situations earlier this year. Again, you're not going to know with this team until they get to the playoffs and face those kind of challenges and moments here. And again, I mean, Smart had his frustrating tendencies, right? And there might have been I think there evidently was some things about his style and game here, and even just the interactions with the other stars on the team that made them say, all right, this is the guy we're looking to here to make this shake up. We're going to pull him out. And he even said that, he said when Josue and I caught up over the summer that I knew I was going to get traded eventually. They weren't going to trade one of the Jays. I didn't think it'd be now, but I knew it was going to happen. So that was how they chose to shake up this team. But when you look at his time here, I mean, they went to the East Finals with him being one of the top 3-4 players on that team in 2017 before Jalen got going, before Jason even arrived. A big impact on the 2018 team that went deep without Kyrie. 2020 thought he was great as a starter in the bubble. And there's a reason they made the playoffs every year with this guy. So I don't want to hear about how he stinks now or how, he was never that good. He was a critical component to this team, and this team started to evolve to a point where Brown and Tatum were the most important components, and that made you say, all right, maybe this guy who has this standing here is the leader on this team, probably has to go here to allow these guys to be the foremost options. And I did write after last game, John, there was a 12-game sample. I don't have the bigger number, but there was a 12-game sample between the 22 and 23 playoffs where Smart and Horford took the most shots on the team in crunch time, and Tatum and Brown fell behind them in shot totals. This year, it's Tatum, Brown, and then Porzingis, White, Holiday in crunch time. Tatum and Brown are at the top of that hierarchy in terms of shot attempts in crunch time, and everybody else is just kind of falling in line behind them. It was the opposite with Smart here. And we can talk about interpersonal stuff and leadership and all that, but I do think the biggest reason Smart's not here from a schematic standpoint is that he was out there in crunch time and teams were able to funnel the ball to him and make him shoot in the biggest moments.
That was always the biggest point
that's the biggest difference between the last
we
teams,
tore
right?
our hair out because again, we'd be arguing with people in the chat over this, insisting that those were good shots because they're open. And we're like, they're not, because that's what they want you to take. They want the ball out of those guys' hands and they're forcing it to your worst shooters. It's why the starting lineup right now is so good, because no one's a bad shooter and they can play 5 out, and it doesn't doesn't matter. It doesn't get forced into somebody's hands. It's always a good shot when you're able to rotate and find an open shooter. And that's why they've been so successful with that starting five. When you were starting Rob and Smart, you couldn't do that at all. So Smart was doing that, the decision making. It was a question of who would have the ball in their hands late. And oftentimes maybe that was one of the reasons when Tatum would get it and hold it, because he's like, I don't want to give it up because I don't want anyone else to shoot but me. And if I do, I'm not sure I'm going to get it back. So I don't know how that dynamic played out, but they were very dysfunctional late in games. And Marcus was almost always part of closing lineups. And even late last year, and again, we're not just trying to bash
last postseason, they were a disaster.
They were disaster. We were saying late in the year, like, you should probably close with Brogdon and White instead of Smart, but they just weren't doing it. So again, not meant to be entirely a Smart bashing session, but I just think you realize, like, I think he was.
He didn't play tonight. That would have been fun.
It is, really, and I think he probably did a really good job, as you said, pointing out what those guys don't like and how to tweak them and how to get them off their game.
He's very smart. Joe talked pregame about how he always went to Smart to learn NBA defense when he first started coaching. So, I mean, you could see him. He was a big part of their interactions along the sideline tonight.
They did a great job. It probably was one of the reasons they were able to limit threes with a fully healthy lineup and score only 102 points. So here's our announcement, and then we're going to wrap it up, okay? The Still Potable podcast, okay, which was once the Anything is Potable podcast with Jay King of The Athletic and Sam Packard. Now is
nice name change.
Has now morphed from the Anything is Potable to the Still Potable podcast, and they do most of their business behind a paywall on Patreon, but they do one free show a week, and that's going to be here exclusively on CLNS Media.
Nice.
Once a week. It will be airing live on CLNS Media, most likely, usually on Sundays, and usually the Celtics don't play on Sunday. Since they did play tonight, Still Potable is going to debut tonight at 12:30. So in a little bit.
That's fun. This is like the late night show tonight.
So it's going to be like a late night show just tonight. Most nights it's not going to follow the Garden Report. It's going to be its own thing, and it's going to go up most likely on Sundays, and there'll be more kind of promotion, so you know when that is. But if you're interested in more basketball talk from a really good crew and a bunch of guys, again, check out that podcast here at 12:30, but also know that you can find it here, for the foreseeable future, and make sure that you subscribe to their feed. It is formerly the Winning Plays podcast feed from Brian Robb, but it's now renamed Still Potable. So go search it, Still Potable. Subscribe to their podcast and hang around and watch it tonight at 12:30 as these guys kind of break things down. And yes, you should check it out after the Garden Report.
Might be watching it in bed tonight.
Yeah.
Might have to join the chat. I might have to join the chat tonight.
I was wondering when I'm going on the road against Celtics.
B-Rob tonight.
Celtics have a 6-game homestand coming up, by the way. So lots of opportunities to see this game at the Garden. Team at the Garden.
So negative.
So negative.
Never change, chat. Never change.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I forget. Oh well.
And we do appreciate. Thank you. We love to welcome. There's no competition here at CLNS Media. I think more the merrier. I love a lot of
perspectives.
All the perspectives, and these are some of the. I mean, one, they're extremely knowledgeable, and two, they're entertaining, and funny, and they have good chemistry, and they've worked together for a while. Yes, it's dedicated Celtics talk, but they'll definitely dabble.
They're dedicated, like we're dedicated.
and Judah, yeah, while it might be a lot for you guys to do 90 minutes with us and then jump on again, as I said, most nights it's going to be it's going to be their own thing. Thanks,
eyes are just bulging out of your head by the end of it.
That's me right now.
Finally,
Jimmy, by the way,
ball. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Fuzz. Also, First to the Floor is great too. If you guys, for those who don't know, and they often go up after we're done too, and you can catch it on their feed, and you can catch it over here on CLNS Media as well. That's an outstanding podcast from guys who really know ball and are obviously they do, man. They know what they're talking about. They're really smart dudes.
Celtics Lab, another good one.
Yep.
A couple other
Yeah.
ones.
Jimmy,
What's up, Bobby?
big fan of Memphis.
Yeah, you
I've
you
enjoyed
did? What'd you get into?
Yeah.
Tell the people. What do you suggest?
So my Airbnb guy gave me a lot of great recommendations, but went to that barbecue spot he recommended. Cozy Corner, amazing.
Cozy Corner.
Sandwich.
What'd you get?
Wings,
What kind of
ribs,
sandwich?
pork, sliced pork.
Okay.
The wings were huge, like full size wings. The ribs were great, probably some of the best I've had. Didn't love the sides, but nice iced tea. That was an amazing dinner.
Nice.
Went to Beale Street.
Well,
That's
I gotta ask though, because you just brought it up. What did you get for sides?
It was like potato salad and baked
yeah, that could
beans.
be a hit or miss. Potato salad can be a hit or
Yeah.
miss. You gotta go like mac and cheese or something. I feel like
they didn't have mac and cheese, so sides are different
Sure.
everywhere. But whatever they do in
Cornbread.
the South, they do like the bread. There's no cornbread down here. They just give you that slice of white bread.
Oh, right,
Texas
right.
toast.
Shows you what I know. Nice, dude.
But then went out, listened to some blues all night, danced a little. It was fun.
Did you put on your dancing shoes?
I did for a few
Got
songs.
off the plane?
I didn't think I was gonna get up, but got up there, danced for a few
In the
songs.
middle
I
of
was
the
there for
pouring
like
rain? Walking in Memphis? Get it?
2-3 hours I was in there listening to
Yeah, you wouldn't
music
get
on Beale Street there. It was really fun last night. Today, mostly worked. I'm not flying till 1 tomorrow. I'm going to try to get into some of the museum early tomorrow. Go see the MLK thing. The MLK museum there.
Are you back for the Garden Report tomorrow night?
I am.
Okay.
7 o'clock game,
So
right?
Memphis is a place I should check out. I was gonna go there anyways because it's good. It's got a good music scene.
I will
but a lot
say,
of people
though,
would rather go to Nashville. They'll just skip over Memphis.
I will
Completely
say,
different vibes.
What?
my host did tell me it was going to get loud at night. Cars screeching by, just people, out and about outside of my window. And there was like one, police car went flying and like turned the sirens on right by the house. I was like in bed at midnight. That woke me up. And then like a half hour later, you know how your phone does those like alerts?
Yes.
Like guy on the loose. Got one of those.
Just another night
what
in
do they call
Memphis,
it?
I guess.
Bolo, be on the lookout. 12:30, I'm like falling asleep, like finally like starting to doze off, and this thing just blasts my phone.
Turns out it
the
was
alarm.
your Airbnb host. That would be quite the twist.
No, but it wasn't, yeah. But it woke me up and I like shot out of bed. So that was something. But it's been a fun trip. Enjoyed it a lot.
Nice. Did you see you bump into Gary out there anywhere? I bet you he knows.
Gary's out here.
He knows where the spots are.
Again, saw Marcus
G-Wash.
briefly. Wish we got him, but he'll be back in Boston soon enough. And who else did I see out here?
Will Marcus get a tribute video, you think?
DeMichael Cole covers the Grizzlies out here, friend of the show.
Nice.
Shout out to him.
There you go.
But yeah, hung out with Drew for a little bit today.
Drew Carter.
Yeah.
Got some lunch with him. Yeah.
Good for you.
All right.
So,
Good.
That was that.
Good stuff. All right, we're gonna wrap.
Diary
Guys.
entry. Love that.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what? We should get that every video. We should get that every road trip from Bobby John.
Check out Still Potable coming up in a few minutes. It'll be back on here. Check out our Twitter for promos. You'll see that there. But if you just subscribe and turn on your notifications, you'll get a little ding. So if you want to check that show out and hear what those guys have to say,
little ding.
Both B Rob and Jay are also in Memphis, I believe. Is that right, Bobby?
B-Rob is not, Jay is.
Jay is. So they're going to do their stuff and then jump on here. Once again, our sponsors here, we want to give a shout out to FanDuel. $150 in bonus bets when you place a winning $5 money line bet. Listen to Jimmy for those tips. Visit FanDuel.com/Boston. Get in on the action today. And of course, HelloFresh, free breakfast for life. HelloFresh.com/CLNS free. Use the code CLNS free. Get a free breakfast item for life in every box you order. Yeah, Jimmy just wants them to put 2 eggs in there.
Give me
crack them right on your head.
Gotta be pasture though. Pasture raised.
My 5-year-old now
Just kidding,
cracks the eggs by herself for the French toast this morning. Yeah.
Any shells?
She's good about the shell. She gets egg all over her hands, but she's good at when she's got the method down to go
important.
and to kind of stick your thumbs in there and then separate the two and let it drop out, and she's got it. So we're making French toast this morning.
But no peanut butter, no bananas, I imagine, based on the feedback that I got from you earlier.
I do a berry compote when I'm feeling a little saucy. It's pretty easy to do. So sometimes I'll do that, but oftentimes I'll just keep it simple. Just a good like challah or a brioche French toast.
You've taught your daughter to crack an egg by sticking her thumbs into the egg, not by just tapping it into the side.
She gets the crack, and then the crack she separates it well, but she doesn't just burst through and have the thing explode.
Then
she can get right in that crack there and open it up and drop it in there, and she's been good, and it's a source of pride for her. So yeah,
love that. Good for her.
Never knew I had a kid. I got 3 of them.
That you know
3 of them.
Yeah,
I got 3.
He's got 3.
Thank you guys for hanging out. Right? I got 5-year-old twins and I got an 11-year-old who won her soccer tournament today, pre-Thanksgiving soccer tournament, with a good grudge match win over a team that beat them earlier in the year. So that was good.
Probably gets
she had a goal.
She had a goal in it. Probably out there.
A goal and an assist.
Wow, good for her.
Yeah,
you'll be traveling. You'll be
really
traveling
wants to
all
hear
around.
about when I used to cook.
What's that?
This guy really wants to hear about when I used to cook in the comments. Maybe we'll do it one day.
We got 2 more shows before Thanksgiving, guys. You're gonna hear a shit ton about about food in the next couple days.
Yeah.
So it is. It's the egg.
Wednesday's gonna be a wild one at the Garden. We'll obviously have tomorrow night's game.
It's gonna be a wild one in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Wednesday's gonna be.
And the Bucks are playing well. We'll get to that later in the week, but got another big win last night.
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready for bed.
I wasn't here. I wasn't at the game, guys. I'm relaying the info. I took the girls for a Boston day. The twins.
You been to Memphis, Sean?
Yes, I have.
You were in Boston today?
Yeah, I took.
That's weird. My phone must have been off or something. I didn't get a. It's bad service.
He doesn't want to see us, Jimmy. We know what it is.
I took the twins on the train in because they think the train is like fun. So we took the T into Boston.
It is fun
for them. They loved it.
Where'd you go? What'd you do? Just walked around.
We were Back Bay area. We went to get a bite to eat. Listen to some street musicians. Got a cookie from Levan Bakery. Went to Burdick's chocolate shop where they get these little chocolate mice. That's pretty good. Went down to the public garden. Yeah, walked around there. Came back around.
Good day.
They like going to that soap store where they have all of those bath bombs things
on Newberry.
Yeah,
that's a good spot.
Yeah,
good for you. Dad of the year, everybody. Take notes. Dad of the year.
Yeah. The
Awards
travel
coming in the
podcast.
mail.
Yeah. So again, 2 more shows coming up, obviously Monday and Wednesday, but we do have, as we said, the Still Potable podcast is up probably in like 15 minutes or so. So again, I am stalling right now because I want you guys to.
Doing? I was wondering why you were giving me so much run.
I'm stalling.
Talk nonsense.
I'm stalling a little bit. I'm stalling for the Still Potable
Bobby
podcast.
will give us a hour by hour of his.
No, Bobby's got to go. Bobby's got to travel. We're gonna wrap it. Thank you guys for hanging out. Jimmy, MVP effort tonight. He was not going to be on the show, but he jumped on because we had a couple of last second situations, and Jimmy jumped in here. So I do appreciate that. It's okay that
my entire work week is completely effed now. It's no big deal.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody. We'll see. We're back tomorrow. We'll see you in a bit. And again, 15 minutes or so. Still Potable.